Choose one animal, a Jungian psychological test. Before we reveal what your choice means, subscribe now so you never miss these psychological insights that reveal the gap between how you appear and who you truly are beneath the surface. You stand before 4 animals. Each one reveals a profound truth about the distance between your exterior and your interior. Do not think. Simply notice which animal your unconscious recognizes. The choice is already made. Now let us see what you have chosen. The 4 deceptions, a map of hidden truths. These animals represent 4 fundamentally different relationships with appearance versus reality, with how you present yourself versus who you actually are beneath that presentation. The kangaroo and the giraffe both extend themselves, but one leaps forward while the other stretches upward. The hippo and the koala both conserve energy, but one hides violence beneath calm, while the other has simply given up on urgency entirely. The kangaroo moves forward but carries the past in its pouch. The giraffe sees far but cannot reach what is close. The hippo appears gentle but is one of the deadliest creatures alive. The koala appears peaceful but is barely surviving. If you chose the kangaroo, you are always moving forward while carrying everything backward. If you chose the giraffe, you see everything from a distance that isolates you. If you chose the hippo, your calm exterior hides something dangerous. If you chose the koala, your peace is actually exhaustion. The kangaroo and the koala both cling, but the kangaroo clings to the past, while the koala clings to survival itself. The giraffe and the hippo both deceive through appearance, but the giraffe's deception is vulnerability hidden by height, while the hippo's deception is violence hidden by calm. Now that you understand how these truths relate, let us explore what your specific choice reveals about the gap between who you appear to be and who you actually are. The kangaroo, the paradox of moving forward while carrying backward. If you chose the kangaroo, you are defined by a contradiction that shapes your entire existence. You are always moving forward, always leaping into the future, always progressing, but you carry everything from the past with you. You cannot move forward without bringing the past along. Your pouch is full of old wounds, old versions of yourself, old relationships, old identities that you cannot release, even as you jump toward something new. Unlike the giraffe, who distances itself from what is difficult by rising above it, or the hippo, who hides what is difficult beneath a calm surface, or the koala, who simply stops engaging with difficulty altogether, you face difficulty by propelling yourself away from it, but you never actually leave it behind. You leap forward, but the past leaps with you. You are always in motion, but motion is not the same as escape. Where the koala conserves energy by doing almost nothing, you expend tremendous energy moving constantly forward. You are restless. You cannot sit still. Staying in one place feels like death, so you keep jumping, keep moving, keep progressing. But no matter how far you leap, you never arrive anywhere that feels different because you bring everything with you. Unlike the hippo, who hides violence beneath calm, you hide attachment beneath momentum. People see you as someone who is always moving on, always progressing, always forward-focused. What they do not see is that you are carrying every single thing that ever happened to you. You look light and agile, but you are heavy with history. You appear to be leaving the past behind, but you have just learned to move forward while never releasing it. This creates a specific kind of person. You are someone who simultaneously moves fast and stays stuck. You change locations, jobs, relationships, identities, but the patterns remain the same because the past you carry shapes every new beginning. You think you are starting fresh, but you are just replaying the same dynamics in a new setting. The scenery changes, but the story does not. You also have tremendous capacity for protecting what is vulnerable. Just as the kangaroo carries its young in its pouch, you carry your younger selves, your wounded parts, your traumatized pieces with you everywhere you go. You have not abandoned them. You have not healed them. You have simply learned to keep moving while they remain tucked inside you, still hurting, still afraid, still needing something you do not know how to give. But here is your exhaustion. You can only leap for so long before your legs give out. Constant forward motion requires constant energy, and you are tired. You are tired of carrying the past. You are tired of jumping toward futures that feel no different from the past because you bring the past with you. You are tired of looking like you are moving on when you are actually just moving. Unlike the giraffe who stays in one place but sees far, or the hippo who appears still but is ready to attack, or the koala who has accepted stillness, you cannot stop moving. Staying in one place feels like being trapped, but movement without release is just exhaustion in motion. You are not escaping, you are just traveling with your prison.
The kangaroo asks, "Am I moving forward or am I just jumping in place? What would happen if I stopped carrying the past and actually left something behind? Can I leap into a future that is not shaped entirely by what I refuse to release?" The giraffe, the isolation of seeing too far. If you chose the giraffe, you live at a height that most people cannot reach. You see further than others. You perceive patterns, connections, consequences that remain invisible to those who move through life at ground level. Your perspective is your greatest gift, but it is also your deepest curse, because the higher you rise, the more isolated you become from everything and everyone below. Unlike the kangaroo who carries the past while moving forward, you have risen above your past. You have gained enough perspective to see it clearly, to understand it, to contextualize it within larger patterns. You do not carry old wounds in a pouch. You observe them from a distance that makes them seem smaller, more manageable, less urgent. This gives you wisdom, but it also creates a gap between you and those who are still living at ground level. Where the hippo hides danger beneath calm, you hide loneliness beneath perspective. People see you as wise, insightful, someone who sees the big picture. What they do not see is how lonely it is to see things no one else sees. You cannot share your perspective because it requires a vantage point others do not have. You try to explain what you see from up here, but words fail because seeing is not the same as explaining. Where the koala clings to one branch and conserves energy, you stretch your neck to see further, to reach higher, to perceive more. This takes enormous energy. Maintaining your height requires constant effort. Your neck is long not by accident, but by necessity. You have stretched yourself to see beyond what is immediately in front of you, and now you cannot return to ground-level perception, even when you want to. This creates a specific kind of person. You are someone who understands everything and connects with nothing. You see the patterns in human behavior, the cycles in relationships, the predictable outcomes of people's choices. This makes you feel superior and isolated in equal measure. You are right about what you see, but being right does not make you less alone. You also struggle with immediacy. Because you see so far ahead, you have difficulty being present with what is right in front of you. You are already anticipating consequences, planning for futures, perceiving long-term patterns. This makes you strategic and effective, but it also means you miss the immediate moment because you are always looking beyond it. But here is your isolation. The giraffe's long neck allows it to eat leaves no other animal can reach, but it also makes it impossible to drink water without spreading its legs in a vulnerable position. Your height gives you access to perspective others cannot reach, but it also makes basic connection difficult. You cannot easily lower yourself to where others are. You have adapted to height, and now ground level feels foreign. Unlike the kangaroo who is always in motion, or the giraffe whose height is obvious, or the koala whose clinginess is apparent, your true nature is hidden. You have learned to present yourself as safe, approachable, calm. This is not who you are. This is who you have learned to appear to be. Beneath the calm is something fierce, something protective, something that will become violent if provoked. Where the kangaroo carries the past openly in its pouch, you hide your past beneath still water. No one sees what you are carrying because you have learned to keep the surface smooth even when the depths are churning. You do not process pain publicly. You do not display your wounds. You submerge them, and they make you dangerous in ways people do not expect. Where the giraffe rises above to gain perspective, you sink below to hide your intensity. You do not need height to see clearly. You see clearly from beneath, from the place where you can observe without being fully seen. You watch people carefully, quietly, waiting to see if they are a threat or if they are safe. And if they prove to be a threat, they discover too late that you are not what you appeared to be. This creates a specific kind of person. You are someone who appears harmless, but is actually one of the most formidable people in any room. You do not announce your power. You do not display your capabilities. You simply exist in a state of calm that people mistake for weakness. And when they push you too far, when they violate a boundary you clearly set, when they assume your gentleness means you will not defend yourself, they learn what is beneath the surface. You also have tremendous self-control. The hippo can kill with ease, but it chooses not to most of the time. You have the capacity for significant damage, emotionally, psychologically, even physically in some contexts, but you choose restraint. You choose calm. You choose to keep what is dangerous beneath the surface because you understand that true power is controlled power. Unleashed power is just chaos. Controlled power is strategy. But here is your burden. The gap between how you appear and what you actually are creates profound loneliness. No one sees your full self. No one knows what you are capable of. They see the calm exterior and assume that is all there is. They do not see the strength, the intensity, the carefully controlled violence that you carry beneath everything you show them.
This means you are constantly underestimated, and while that can be strategic, it also means you are never fully known. People love the version of you that is calm, that is gentle, that is easy to be around. But that is not your full self. That is just the surface. And the part of you that is fierce, that is protective, that is powerful, remains hidden, unseen, unacknowledged. Unlike the kangaroo who exhausts itself through constant motion, or the giraffe who isolates through height, or the koala who has given up on intensity, you exhaust yourself through constant control. You are always managing the gap between what you show and what you feel. You are always monitoring your reactions to make sure the calm surface remains intact. This takes enormous energy, and no one sees the effort because the whole point is to make it look effortless. The hippo asks, what would happen if I let people see what is beneath the surface? Am I calm because I choose to be, or am I calm because I am afraid of what would happen if I showed my full intensity? Can I be fully known and still be safe? The koala. The surrender to minimum existence. If you chose the koala, you have arrived at a state that most people fear and you have made peace with. You have given up on striving. You are no longer trying to move forward like the kangaroo. You are no longer trying to see further like the giraffe. You are no longer managing appearances like the hippo. You have simply stopped. You cling to what is barely enough, and you have decided that barely enough is actually fine. Unlike the kangaroo who expends tremendous energy moving forward, you have embraced minimal energy expenditure. You do what is absolutely necessary and nothing more. You eat just enough to survive. You move just enough to function. You engage just enough to avoid complete isolation. Everything beyond that feels unnecessary, exhausting, pointless. Where the giraffe stretches to see more, you have stopped reaching for anything beyond what is immediately accessible. You stay on your branch, you eat the same leaves, you live in a very small world, and you have made peace with that smallness. This is not depression, or maybe it is, but it is depression you have accepted as your baseline rather than something to fight against. The hippo hides intensity beneath calm. You have no intensity to hide. You are not calm because you are controlling something beneath the surface. You are calm because you have genuinely stopped caring about most things. The hippo's stillness is strategic. Yours is surrender. The hippo is still water hiding depth. You are shallow water that looks exactly like what it is. This creates a specific kind of person. You are someone who has opted out of the game that everyone else is playing. You are not competing, you are not striving, you are not trying to become more, do more, be more. You have looked at what that requires, the energy, the effort, the constant motion, and you have decided it is not worth it. So you cling to your branch, you eat your leaves, and you let the world move around you while you remain still. You also have a kind of peace that others do not have. The kangaroo is exhausted from jumping. The giraffe is lonely from height. The hippo is tired from controlling its intensity. You are none of these things because you have released the expectation that you should be anything other than what you are. You are not trying to move forward, see further, or appear different. You just are. And there is something almost enlightened about that, even if it looks like giving up. But here is your danger. The koala's low-energy lifestyle works only because it has a very specific food source that requires almost no competition. You survive because you have found a niche that demands very little, but that niche is fragile. If circumstances change, if your branch disappears, if the leaves run out, you do not have the energy reserves to adapt. You have optimized for minimum existence, and minimum existence does not survive disruption. You also risk becoming so still that you forget you are capable of movement. The koala can move when it needs to, but it does so rarely that movement feels foreign, difficult, almost impossible. You may have convinced yourself that you cannot do more, that you are incapable of intensity, that striving is not for you, when the truth is simply that you have not tried in so long that you have forgotten how. Unlike the kangaroo who never stops moving, or the giraffe who maintains perspective through effort, or the hippo who controls intensity through constant management, you have stopped all of it. You have decided that peace is found in doing less, wanting less, being less. And maybe you are right. Maybe there is wisdom in your surrender, or maybe you have just given up. The koala asks, am I at peace or have I just stopped fighting? Is my stillness acceptance or is it defeat? What would happen if I reached for something beyond my branch, if I engaged with life beyond minimum survival? Am I conserving energy or am I just slowly fading? Integration, when all four animals reveal one truth. You chose one animal, but Jung would tell you that all four patterns live within you. The question is which one dominates your current relationship with how you appear versus who you are, with effort versus surrender, with how you present yourself to the world. If you chose the kangaroo, you need to learn from the giraffe that perspective requires stopping long enough to see clearly. You need to learn from the hippo that not everything you carry needs to be visible. You need to learn from the koala that sometimes the bravest thing is to stop moving and just be. If you chose the giraffe, you need to learn from the kangaroo that movement matters even when you see all the obstacles. You need to learn from the hippo that power does not require height, it requires presence. You need to learn from the koala that not everything requires your perspective. If you chose the hippo, you need to learn from the kangaroo that showing your intensity is not the same as losing control. You need to learn from the giraffe that being seen is not the same as being vulnerable. You need to learn from the koala that you do not have to manage everything all the time. If you chose the koala, you need to learn from the kangaroo that movement is possible even when it feels impossible.
You need to learn from the giraffe that there is more to see if you are willing to stretch. You need to learn from the hippo that peace and power can coexist. The kangaroo moves but carries. The giraffe sees but isolates. The hippo hides but controls. The koala clings but survives. You need all four. Move when movement serves you, but release what does not need to come with you. See clearly, but do not use perspective as a substitute for presence. Control your intensity, but do not hide your full self. Rest when you need to, but do not confuse rest with giving up. Share which animal you chose in the comments, not to define yourself, but to acknowledge which pattern currently dominates your relationship with how you appear versus who you are. Because you are not one animal. You are the consciousness that learns when to leap, when to rise, when to submerge, and when to simply cling and survive. That is wholeness. That is the work.